Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. We're just going to straighten it out a bit. I want to try to get a little bit more down view here. Sometimes you get too high, and next thing I'm looking at the ceiling. Anyways, we're here for an episode on Sunday evening called Commonalities Compared. This is a episode in which my subscriber Ben picks two similarities or commonalities from rock history, either bass players or drummers or albums or maybe bands or even producers or even art on the covers of the albums. So we've done all of those things, but usually picks two. This week we've picked two drummers of all things, which is good because we're currently doing a series on drumming. So we're going to stick with the drumming theme. He's picked out two drummers. Ironically, neither of these two drummers made my drummer list, which is kind of weird. At least they haven't made it so far, but you never know. But they both have the commonality of having played with the same band. Yes, Kiss. So Kiss at one time was my favorite band. It was a landslide, not even close, for about the first 3 years probably of my discovery of rock music, which started in 1975. So for all of 75, well, most of 75, so all of 76, all of 77, and partial, probably about half a year in 78, I was pretty much dominated by this band, with a few brief interludes by some other bands, but nothing serious. These guys dominated the spectrum for me everywhere. And of course, they continued that semi-domination into the 80s, even though they had started to slide by 79 with this album. By 1979, they were on their gasp. They were gasping for air. And Rush eventually replaced them in 1980 as my favorite band, and they've never been in that spot since. Also at that time, the drummer here that you see, Eric Carr The Fox, took over from Peter Criss, the Cat. So the Cat changed to a fox, and the band continued. So in actual fact, I think Eric Carr at one point had played more years with Kiss. I think he came on in 1981 and stayed with the band till his death in 92, was it? I think it was 92. So about 11 years at that point, once he passed. So you had Peter Criss, who had been with the band from 73 till 1980, so about 7 or 8 years. So Eric Carr had actually played longer. But then Peter came back in 96 and was with the band, I want to say till 2001, and I'm not 100% sure. So if you add those 5 years to his original 8 years, he was probably with the band a little bit longer than Eric Carr. And then, of course, you now have Mark Singer. Is it Mark Singer? Eric Singer, sorry. So Eric Singer, who's actually been with the band longer than either of these two, but the similarities between these two, obviously, they were the first two drummers for Kiss, both spouting animal caricatures and facial makeup for the band. Eric being the last, well, actually he wasn't the last. We had one more, the Angst Warrior, which was Vinnie Vincent, but pretty much these were the characters for the. And actually, Ace Frehley wasn't even on this album either. So, so you have the two characters both being animals. They were the only two animal characters in amongst the group of albums or band members. Both playing pretty simplistic drumming. That's all it was required to play in Kiss, really. I think Eric was probably a better drummer than Peter Criss, but I never really followed the music of Kiss after Lick It Up, which was kind of the final. It was the first album without the makeup, and so the last album that I followed Kiss. I haven't owned any of the albums that came after that, not Animalize, not Revenge, or any of the other ones, even Psycho Circus. I never got into any of those albums that came out. The only album that I owned by them that came out in that post-era of the Lick It Up era was Kiss Alive 3, which I almost never listened to. So for me, I was a classic Kiss person from 73 through to 1980, and then after that I was kind of out the door, mostly. Still kind of hanging in there a little bit. There is stuff on Dynasty, Unmasked, The Elder, Creatures of the Night, and Lick It Up that I do like, but after that it's done. And so for Eric, I only really got into the 3 albums, Unmasked, The Elder, Creatures of the Night, and Lick It Up. Those are the only 4 I really kind of listened to him. I never noticed much about his drumming ability throughout the years. I guess I could go back and listen to it all. I think that Peter Criss had a much greater impact on me because of him being part of that original era. But I think they both have not too dissimilar styles. They're both pretty simplistic drummers. They're both smaller in stature. I think Eric is a little bit more laid back and a little bit more backgroundish than Peter Criss was, who was more flamboyant. Peter Criss, of course, had the absolute killer voice, but I think Eric was able to sing Peter's songs fairly good. He was fairly good at them. But overall, I found that neither of these drummers are going to go down in history as being legendary drummers at all. But for Kiss, you didn't need to actually be a legendary drummer. Kiss was more about the show, more about the stage performance, more about the live concert than they were about the actual individual abilities or musicality. So these 2 drummers, both of them, I like certain aspects of both of them. I think I actually preferred Eric quite a bit more. I think he was more of the type of character that I could deal with more. Peter, I always found a bit too whiny for me, and almost, I hate to use the word stupid. I don't think he's stupid, but sometimes he would say things that didn't sound terribly intelligent. Let's put it that way. But overall, I think they were perfect drummers for this band, and their personas actually suited the band. I liked both their personas quite a bit. And yeah, so there's really not much more I can say about it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Commonalities Compared, featuring Peter Criss and Eric Carr. So please hit the notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. Hit the like and subscribe. That's much appreciated. And if you want to make any comments about either of the 2 drummers, Kiss, or the music, or anything that's related to what we're talking about, you're welcome to do so in the comment section below. And we will be back next week with another episode of Commonalities Compared. And we will see you then. Take care and have a good one. Bye.